The Love is Blind Season 6 cast definitely had several unserious individuals, and it showed. But at the reunion, which has now landed on Netflix after we suffered through episode 12's shocking clownery, the singles and couples got a lot off their chests. It's for that very reason that Trevor's segment was both explosive and short-lived at the same time. To catch you up, Trevor...
Okay, listen. Okay, shut the up.
Trevor won over the hearts of millions of people thanks to his authentic display, emotional intelligence, and puppy eyes back at the pods. Fast forward halfway through the season, we are now finding out that in actual fact, he had left behind a serious relationship to be on the show about finding love. And after leaving without a potential spouse on the show, because Chelsea ended up with Jimmy, he went back home to now figure out how to proceed with the girl he promised to marry. And they were both in on it for a time, but things did not move forward as Trevor ghosted the poor girl, who would later leak the text messages between them about his plan to go on the show, get a ton of clout, and come back and settle down with her. And at the reunion, Trevor's defense didn't defend at all. Like, he told the woman outside he loves her so much, promised her that he had no intentions of falling for anyone on the show. Well, technically, he was never really that serious.
So I'll start by saying that I was not dating her technically. Like, I never said, will you be my girlfriend before the show started. But there definitely was, like, obviously we were close, but she knew she was the typical girl I'd go for in real life. And I told her before, like, I want to go on this to try to experiment something else.
Excuse me? Yeah, one wonders, why did he even agree to come to the reunion only for him to be dragged for wasting the show's time like that? Nick blasted him for wasting the audience's time, and now that we know the journey was not even real for him, he was also slammed for misleading those who came to the show genuinely looking for love, as opposed to using the show as a platform to gain some fame. Speaking of authenticity, Sarah Anne and Jeramy were raked over the hot coals and dragged for filth. And rightfully so, because the way they moved this season was pretty wild. Laura didn't hold back when joining the reunion via Zoom, where she blasted the couple for being insensitive about the fact that her family was dragged into a situation that ended up being bogus on national television. Laura called how her grandmother had to fly all the way in for the wedding just days before Jeramy decided to sneak out and spend the night with Sarah Anne, despite not choosing her at the pods. We also got to see footage of Sarah Anne and Lauren having a conversation in which Sarah Anne apologized.
I do want to talk to you about the message that I sent, because I know that came across so disrespectful to you. And I am sorry if I hurt you in any way. I really am, because I don't want you to think that I came to ruin your relationship.
For those who don't know, Sarah Anne made the first move by sliding in Jeramy's DMs, despite knowing that the man is now engaged to Lauren. And it's wild because Jeramy was initially transparent about that situation and disclosed that whole DM to Lauren to assure her that he is faithful to her, despite his prior connection to Sarah Anne back at the pods. Well, it didn't take long before he left Lauren sleeping and bonded with Sarah Anne until 5 a.m. in the morning the next day. That was so wild for both of them, but I must commend Lauren for clearing up the fact that Jeramy is really the one she's mad at, because he's the one who hurt her. As for both Sarah Anne and Jeramy, in their heads, all was fair game. For Sarah Anne, she is, in fact, not to blame for the collapse of Jeramy and Lauren's engagement because, as she put it earlier in the season, she's a realist and this is an experiment. What are they expecting her to do besides to wreck a relationship by sliding in the DM of someone else's fiancé? And I guess in the end, the realist is the one who found a relationship, and that's exactly why she went on the show. Alright. Let's take it back to episode 5 when Laura comforts Sarah Anne after Jeramy doesn't pick her. They gave us a solid sisterhood moment and hugged it out. Laura even called her a bad who deserves the world, and Sarah Anne says, I'll have my moment. And it was funny when Jessica clocked her about that comment in light of everything that followed after that. We also found out that the girls had created a group chat and decided to ice out Sarah Anne. Now, let's talk about Clay and AD. The wounds are still fresh from their cringy wedding last week, where Clay decided he didn't want to get married to AD after all. It's the amount of time wasted between the engagement after the pause and the actual wedding for me, where Clay had every chance to come clean about his unreadiness to get married. I, for one, always thought he was never really that invested in AD as early as when they first met each other after the pause. But how does one really know for sure? You know, he can be quite performative with the tears, the heartfelt conversations about wanting to be a good family man, and being transparent about the trauma he got from his father, who was serially cheating on his mother. But the whole time, many of us were rooting for this couple. Unfortunately, that came with overlooking a number of red flags that we should have not been overlooking in the first place. Like the fact that his eyes move so damn fast, bro. It makes him look like he's lying the entire time. And of course, the fact that he made everything look perfectly blissful until the very last moment on the altar, where he told AD in her wedding dress that he just wasn't ready. Addressing his thinking process at the reunion, Clay took us through his reasons for not wanting to go ahead with the wedding. He also owned up to how things turned out and revealed that he's now in therapy.
We're still going through our family and searching for healing. So, you know, I think a lot of black men could resonate with this in terms of just having broken households. But one thing about my parents is that they never made us feel any type of way. They did their best to raise us, and that's their story. And AD mom said it best. She said that I can't be taking on my parents' stuff. I got to do what's good for me. And that's the reason why I took that approach to go to therapy, so I could stop, wearing, the baggage that my parents left me and, go my own way.
Now, Clay proceeded to tell us that AD is the love of his life. And it got AD all giddy, and I was like, girl. But Amber, aka AD, did get it together on several occasions, telling him that he already had his moment to choose her and he chose to play in her face. I don't know, the body language suggested that she had fully checked out of that relationship entirely. However, when she talked about the fact that she went on a couple of dates with Matthew, she kept looking over at Clay as if to make him jealous, to see his reaction. She even said respectfully. And to me, it suggested that she could still fold over this man at any moment. Some are even now speculating that they really might be together behind the scenes or secretly working towards something like that. Would that even be a good decision? I mean, when Clay had tears in his eyes during his apology, I know many people melted just like AD. Chelsea and Jimmy's segment was quite short, but they also looked back at their journey on the show, including how Chelsea was made to account for saying she looks like Megan Fox. Spill in the comments, hit the like button, and subscribe to the channel. Welcome back to the Quench channel, and welcome to the world of lovers, cheaters, and gaslighters. The highly anticipated Love is Blind Season 6 reunions has finally landed, and the cast finally got an awful lot off their chests. It's been quite a dramatic season, packed with a whole lot of love bombing, gaslighting, cheating, and by the end of it, we were left with only one couple managing to walk down the aisle. And as if all that shady business wasn't enough, some pretty wild allegations started coming out about how some of the cast members were basically playing in our faces and basically used the show to get famous, knowing full well they had no intentions of actually finding a match on the show. Trevor, I'm looking at you. Brittany and Kenneth revealed that they are so close that they talk every day now. And while their relationship is now purely platonic, they are so close that should one of them get in a romantic relationship, it would have to be discussed because they talk to each other like all the time. See? And to be quite honest, not much was addressed there, and I do respect the fact that production decided to stay away from all the talk surrounding Kenneth's sexuality. They did touch on the fact that he never really seemed that much into the relationship though, so much so that even when they broke up, he really didn't seem to be moved. Like, what was that about, bro? He honestly looked relieved to be finally done with that whole process, to be honest. I also want to touch on Jessica a little bit because she was such a prominent part of the season. Now, we know that she was not chosen by Jimmy, who went for Chelsea instead. At the reunion, the two of them had to clear things with each other because Jessica felt that Jimmy had not been very nice to her in some interviews after the show. Jimmy had been saying that Jessica stormed out of their last pod session after only 10 minutes, but the producers had the receipts indicating otherwise. There's also the fact that Jessica, who will now officially be on the next season of The Perfect Match, is good friends with Chelsea. Right? And because of that, we're guessing that Jimmy and Chelsea aren't together anymore. In any capacity, really. Maybe? I don't know. Their segment was rather short-lived, which was really strange because they were so prominent this season. But they did get a chance to discuss the fact that Chelsea exposing Jimmy's friend was really the end of their relationship. The rest of the time, he'd just been going through the motions. Phew, what a season. And shout out to Amy and Johnny, who've been going strong since. What did you guys think of Love is Blind Season 6? Hit us up in the comments, like and share this video with your day ones, and subscribe to the channel. Until next time.